and welcome to episode 29 of Soft Signal. My name is Varun. I'm joined by my co host Aditya. And today we are going to finally preview the ICC T20 World Cup 2020 or 2021, depending on how you want to call it. So it's finally here, and we've been building up to it for a while. So I'm excited. Are you?
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited. This T20 tournament is going to be much more exciting than the T20 tournament that just finished yesterday.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to this one. World Cups are always special. I think this one's going to be no different.
Yeah. And after 5 years, so the 4 years was a big enough gap, and then it had to be rescheduled again because of COVID. So really happy to have this back. It's a fun tournament as we've spoken about in previous episodes, and we're not going to waste too much time today in talking about the tournament in general. You can check out some of our previous episodes to look at that, but we will preview the actual tournament. And like last time, and like the last two editions, there's a preliminary phase of first round, as you want to call it, where there are 8 teams vying for for 4 spots in the, and then there's the Super 12 phase where there will be 6 teams in each group, and then out of those 12, out of each group of 6, there will be 2 who qualify for the semi-finals and then finals, of course. So it's an interesting format. Is this the format you think that works? And are you interested in the first round at all?
Yeah, so I think this format works. And what interests me more about this format is that it gives a chance to some of the associate nations. For a long time, a lot of people have spoken about how the associate nations should not be part of the World Cups. But I'm of a different opinion. I think they should be a part of the World Cup because this is the only time where they'll actually get the opportunity to play better teams.
Yeah.
And it's also good for them because they get more visibility, right, in terms of broadcasting into different countries. So people from other countries, when they see them on television, they kind of start relating to these players.
Yeah.
So associate nations should be there. Group A and Group B, which kicks off from tomorrow, actually consists mostly of associate nations except Bangladesh and Sri Lanka.
Except
So
Bangladesh, you mean?
yeah, okay, yeah, fair point, fair
Sorry
point,
to anyone from Sri Lanka watching.
fair point. But it should be interesting. I mean, for example, I'm super interested to see the Papua New Guinea team. I didn't even know they had a cricket team,
Yeah.
right? So, and if you look down the list of players from that team, it's actually, at least from the names, they actually seem to be from Papua New Guinea. So it's not like Indians or Pakistanis or Sri
Yeah.
Lankans or Bangladeshis who've gone there and settled and formed a cricket team. No, it's actually people from that country. So I'm interested to see that kind of stuff. So even though this is kind of a low profile start to the tournament, if I may call it that, for me it's interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And there have been some memorable performances by associate nations in T20 World Cup and the ODI World Cup. And it also helps the players to get recognition, as you said, and for them to maybe then get recruited into bigger leagues and like Big Bash, IPL, etc., which then grows the game also and gives more profile to these teams. And yeah, Papua New Guinea, as you rightly mentioned, making their debut at any ICC tournament. Also, Namibia, who are playing after almost 20 years. They last played in the 2003 ODI World Cup, it was in South Africa. And there's some other of the usual suspects there, of course, like Scotland, Ireland, Netherlands, who always do tend to punch above their weight in tournaments like this. So let's look at Group A, it's Group A, which is Ireland, Namibia, Netherlands, and Sri Lanka. Now, remember that all of these will play each other once, of course, and then the top 2 will qualify. So even though I just did Sri Lanka less than 5 minutes ago, I do think they will still qualify top of this group, and I have a feeling Ireland will come in second.
Yeah, I agree. I think Sri Lanka for sure will top this group. They should, even though this is not the best time in Sri Lankan cricket, they should be able to beat the other three teams on that group. Um, I think I agree. Ireland will probably come in second, but the Ireland versus Netherlands game could be a close one. Now the thing is, both players from both these countries play county cricket, so they're kind of well accustomed to playing cricket at a pretty high level, right? So uh, therefore, whenever Ireland and Netherlands play a World Cup like this, they tend to be more competitive than some of the other countries
Yeah,
within the associate list of countries. So yeah, I still think Sri Lanka and Ireland will qualify, but it'll be interesting to watch the Ireland Netherlands game just to see who comes up trumps there.
yeah. What about Group B? What is your take on that?
Yeah, so Group B is probably the simpler group. Bangladesh should qualify again. Honestly, if they find a way to mess this up, I won't be surprised if they mess it up. Let me put it that way. I but I will be sort of disappointed that 21 years since becoming a test nation, if they still find a way to mess up against Papua New Guinea, Scotland, and Oman,
Yeah.
then really
And
it
it's
will
not
be
even like there's only one team that can qualify. It's two teams out of four. So
routine.
like,
Exactly. So that'll really not reflect good on Bangladesh cricket. But look, all things said, they should qualify from this group. And the second team, again, probably Scotland, I think, because a lot of their players again play county cricket in England. So they're kind of accustomed to a higher level of cricket than probably Papua New Guinea and Oman. I was reading an article the other day, and a lot of the players from Oman are not even professional cricketers, which means that they actually play cricket on weekends,
yeah,
and probably just before a tournament or something like that, and they have day jobs for the rest of the week. So that basically means that obviously their ability and skill set is not going to be as high as professional cricketers. So that being said, I think Bangladesh and Scotland should be able to qualify from that group.
yeah. The only thing with Oman that they have advantage is that the matches are being played in Oman. So they have definitely more familiarity with the conditions, and of course, if they I don't know if crowds will be allowed. They should be, so then they will have some level of home support. So the Oman versus Scotland game could be interesting, but yeah, I feel that again surprises can happen. But Scotland should qualify in second behind Bangladesh. So that first phase will be completed around the 21st of October, which is pretty soon actually. It's next Thursday. And then we go into the Super 12, which is basically the group stages. So let's look at Group 1 first, because it has Australia, England, South Africa, West Indies, the defending champions, and then A1 and B2. So we've said A1 will be Sri Lanka, and then B2 will be Scotland. So just to recap, Australia, England, South Africa, West Indies, Sri Lanka, and Scotland. Uh, Difficult group. I think I don't feel South Africa have actually shot themselves in the foot. Like they haven't picked Faf, who just played a great innings in the. They've been playing really well in the IPL this second half. They haven't picked Chris Morris, Imran Tahir. So they could have had a chance, but I think they're now with their team, they probably don't have as much power to overpower the others. West Indies defending champions always. I mean, I think the best team in T20. They also they've managed to find a way to come together in big tournaments. And then yeah, it's between England and Australia. Australia have actually had some really disastrous T20 results over the. I know they didn't have full squads, but they lost to Bangladesh. So they've been playing, and they've never been a great T20 team. And then England, I think people are talking about England as one of the favorites as well. So it could be between England, West Indies, and maybe Australia having a say. I don't think Sri Lanka or Scotland will cause too much of a dent. So it's my prediction is I think I'm gonna say West Indies in first and England in second. I know it's kind of safe and boring, but yeah, that's just my take.
I, I tend to agree. I think West Indies will qualify. I think they are still um, one of the best T20 teams
Yeah,
simply by virtue of the amount of power that they bring um to this particular format. Um, you look down their squad, and I'm just opening the squad as we speak. But Pollard, Nicholas Puran, I know I keep talking him up a lot, and he doesn't really do much after that. Dwayne Bravo is back, so there's so much of experience there. Um, Chris Gale, the universe boss, right? So, he's got nothing to lose at this stage, right? He's just going to
Yeah.
come out and play so freely. Shimron Hetmeyer, Evan Lewis, these guys, Andre Russell, right? You can't forget him. Lendl Simmons, O'Shane Thomas, they've got all the players, they've got the tools, and they can really cause damage. And you know, for them, they don't really think too much about running between the wickets because they
Yeah.
just hit sixes and fours at will. So obviously, I think West Indies is the strongest side because they've got some really good players and power hitters across that lineup. So West Indies should qualify, I think. And then yes, you're right. It's between England and Australia for the second spot. Um, I think England will qualify as well. I think again, they've got a very strong squad. They are led by a very astute captain in Owen
Yeah.
Morgan, who's Irish, but yeah, he's not playing for Ireland, but yeah, he's a good captain. The likes of Josh Butler, Liam Livingstone. Also, he's had a good 100, and he's being talked about a lot, especially his ability to hit big sixes. I'm keen to see how the likes of Chris Wokes perform as one of the main all rounders in the squad, and also the likes of Adil Rashid and Moeen Ali, because on those wickets you will need
Yeah.
some spinners. So I think England's squad is also quite strong, and I think both West Indies and England should come through that group.
Yeah, and Moeen Ali also don't. I mean, I know you mentioned him, but he's actually played really well in the UAE in the IPL in
Yeah.
this for Chennai. So they've got some good players who are coming off some experience in the region as well. So yeah. So are you thinking West Indies first and England second, or no?
I'm thinking West Indies first. I think West Indies will. Uh, I I think they'll beat all the teams in that group. I really think so. Um, uh, they've got power and they've also got a good set of bowlers. The likes of Fabian Island, Hayden Walsh. So they've got spinners as well. Is what I mean. When I say bowlers, I mean in those conditions they've got good spinners. So
Yeah.
they should. I think they should be able to beat everybody and top that group.
Okay, you want to set up Group Two?
Yeah. So Group Two actually for me, when you think of it, is also a challenging group. I mean, when you look at it from, when you just look at it without going into the details, it seems the easier group. But think of it that Group Two actually is full of Asian teams,
Yeah. So
and
it'll be, I think, Afghanistan, India,
yeah,
Pakistan.
yeah. So Afghanistan, India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh will probably qualify into this group as well. And then we said Ireland.
Yeah,
But the
and New
reason,
Zealand. Yeah.
and New Zealand is of course already there.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm saying this team, the reason I called out the fact about this being an almost all Asian group is that they are playing in the UAE, right? Which means that the all these Asian teams are playing in very familiar conditions. So it makes each one of them more potent.
Yeah.
So India, of course, is the strongest team in this group. Um, I wouldn't say by far, but it is the strongest team in this group. I genuinely think so. But Pakistan is mercurial, and
Yeah.
plus they are in these conditions which make them more of a handful. So don't write Pakistan off. Afghanistan again capable of causing an upset. If there were three teams that would qualify, or if there was an option of a third team qualifying, then yes, Afghanistan comes into the frame. But I think because it's only two teams qualifying, I don't think Afghanistan will make it through. Um, uh, Bangladesh, no, they are not going to qualify. Ireland's not going to qualify. So that basically brings me to the last team in that group, which is New Zealand. And yes, I think New Zealand will be the second team to qualify, simply because these guys punch above their weight each single time, in all events, in all World Cup events. They're resilient. They have a group of good players. They have a good captain, a tactical captain, um, and they always seem to find a way. So I think India should qualify top of this group.
Hmm.
New Zealand should qualify second, um, and but don't be surprised if New Zealand still find a way to beat India, because they've always beaten India
Yeah.
in T20 events, in T20 World Cups
Yeah.
in the past. So some, these kind of things play on the minds of the players. So it's a psychological thing. You come up against a team you've never beaten, you just feel like you cannot beat them, and
Yeah.
then that plays into the way you perform. But New Zealand might beat India, but they might lose a match
To
along the way,
Afghanistan or
they
something.
lose
Yeah.
to Afghanistan or Pakistan, and that might allow India to actually beat them in terms of qualifying through the group. So yeah, so India and New Zealand for me are the two teams in that group. But the mouth-watering clash is going to be on the 22nd, is it, or the 23rd?
24th, I think. Yeah. The
24th
India
between India
Pakistan,
and
right?
Pakistan. Yeah, that's going
Maybe
to be.
we'll watch that live. Let's see. We'll think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, agree with your take that India will is the strongest team on paper at least. It's T20 though, so anything can happen. Also, like you said, New Zealand have beaten India in the last ODI World Cup, last T20 World Cup, Test Championship final. So they constantly beat us in ICC tournaments or ICC events. And so yeah, don't write them off. Also, Pakistan. I mean, I don't know. They've been playing in the UAE forever. They know these conditions. They have also got extra motivation after New Zealand pulled out of their toes. Maybe they have that because Pakistan is a team that believes in stupid shit like this, and they can actually perform also because of these things. Like normally, other teams try to rely on tactics and perform actual performance. These guys believe in these things, which is fine. It works for them also. Like you said, they're mercurial. So I actually think India will qualify top, but I actually think Pakistan might qualify as second, just because of if they've I know they've made some last minute changes to their squad as well, and they're just in such a mess because now they have obviously sacked their coach, and now they have in their coaching staff Matthew Hayden and Vernon Philander, which is just it's almost like you pick like run a random draw and pick two cricketers and okay let them be our coaches. Like I don't know if either of them have coaching experience, and especially for T20 in these conditions, like I don't know from where they've picked these two. But all that said, that is perfect normally for Pakistan to put in a good performance. In a
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think more the mess, more dangerous Pakistan is, and I think they are in a mess again. But they've got an amazing batsman in Babar Azam.
yeah, and
I wouldn't
Rizwan
call him,
also is
and
just
Mohammad Rizwan, and they've got experience as well. I'm going through their squad at the moment, and there's Mohammad Hafiz in there, and he's 40 years old, but the guy is quite a valuable T20 player now.
yeah.
He with his right arm off spinners as well. He's got experience. He's quite a good batsman in the middle order. And of course, Pakistan's bowling has never really been that much of a problem.
Yeah.
They're now led by Shaheen Shah Afridi. So, I mean, it's not a bad team. It's a team in a mess, but I think that's what makes them more dangerous. So, got to keep an eye on Pakistan. And you're right. Who knows? They might challenge New Zealand to the second spot. Um, but yeah, I still think it will be India and New Zealand. But we'll see. Could be who knows? Could be Pakistan as well. So.
Okay. And then now let's just run through the fun part, which is I think we picked different teams. So I'll go first with who I picked and then who will play who. So according to my predictions, the semifinals will be West Indies versus Pakistan and India versus England. So I'm going to say the final will be West Indies versus India, and not
And
this.
then,
And then, man, I really hope India wins. It will be long overdue. Can't call it. I'll say West Indies just in the hope that I'm jinxing it.
yeah, this is the toughest part, isn't it? Because we are slightly biased towards
Yeah,
India. So since you're right, since we pick different teams, so for me it would be West Indies versus New Zealand
yeah,
in the semi-finals, and India versus England in the semi-finals. So for me, it's already too tough to call. But I'm going to call it anyways. I think I think New Zealand has the ability to upset the West Indies. If there's one team that can upset them, it probably is New Zealand. So I'm going to stick my neck out and say New Zealand qualifies into the finals. India beats England, um, and for the first time goes on to beat New Zealand in a in a World Cup T20 event.
yeah.
Um, so this is me calling it. Of course, this is on the assumption that India will lose to New Zealand in the group stages, uh,
Right.
right? So they lose to New Zealand in the group stages, but then avenge that loss in the finals of the World Cup, and lift the trophy and give Virat Kohli a superb send off,
And don't forget Ravi Shastri.
and Ravi Shastri as well.
He'll,
So
the amount of alcohol that will need to be available in the
yeah,
hotel that night.
exactly. They'll probably lift the World Cup with alcohol already inside it. You never know. So, um, so I mean, that would be me predicting it. But really, it's so tough to predict anything from the semi-final stage onwards, because
Yeah.
then it's just down. Sometimes it just comes down to how well you perform on the day. The amount of skill sets and players' experience almost goes out of the window. So it's tough to predict. But yeah, that's me sticking my neck out. I think both of us think India will lift the trophy. We'll see at
Yeah.
the end of this tournament whether we are right or wrong.
Who knows? There might be even surprises. Let's South Africa, Australia, Afghanistan to somehow make a dent. But that's what I love about global events and especially T20 because T20 is so unpredictable also in a way, like the most unpredictable format. So it'll be fun to see.
Yeah, that's the beauty of T20, isn't it? The format is short, and the shorter the format gets, the bigger the chance for the less fancied team to win. If this was a test match tournament, A, it would have taken too long, but B, you would have always seen that the best team comes out on top. So yeah, this is the advantage. This is the beauty of T20 cricket. It's its own. It kind of offers more of a level playing field. So
Yeah.
yeah, should be interesting. Really cannot wait for it to start.
Yep. Okay. So that's a good note, I think, to end this episode. It's looking forward to all the matches starting tomorrow, and we'll try our best to have an episode next week as well, where we talk about the. We'll be in the middle of the India-Pakistan match. I think I'm not sure what time it is. Let's see. Okay, I can't find out that, but yeah, it will be sometime during our around this time during our day. So we will catch you guys then. But hope you all also are all excited to watch the T20 World Cup as much as we are, and stay safe. And we'll see you soon.
Yeah, see you next week, hopefully.